What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys. And today's video is going to be a topic I've wanted to do for a while. And as collectors, we ask ourselves this. And that is it worth upgrading your Blu-ray to 4K? I have had 4K for a year and a half now. I didn't buy it right away. I waited some years before I took that leap. But I think it's worth it. I ultimately think it is worth it. Overall, think it's worth it. I think that's a better word to use. But overall, I think it is worth it. Again, I've had mine for a year and a half now. I've had the player and I've had the TV. And I've had nothing but a fantastic home theater experience with it. And that is what it comes down to, is watching movies at home, having that experience. You want to have a really awesome home theater experience. And right now, with a lot of our theaters being closed, a lot of us are at home. A majority of us are at home watching movies. If you're a movie collector, if you're a movie fanatic, and if you love going to the theaters, and if you can't do it now, this could be a way to really get a fantastic home theater experience. Now, I love physical media, and I know eventually a lot of it is going to go to streaming, but I'm not going to be one that stops collecting until I ultimately have to. But we still have VHS collectors, which is cool. You can still find VHS titles, which is awesome. DVD is still really big right now. A lot of the stores that I was going to, I don't go to them a lot now, but a lot of the stores that I did go to and have went to, there's a lot more DVD than even Blu-ray and 4K. So I don't see physical media going away anytime soon. So I'm still going to collect. Now, getting back to the upgrading Blu-ray to 4K, like I said, it's definitely worth upgrading in my opinion. And this is just coming from my own experience, so I'm not an expert on this. So if I do say something wrong, or if I'm not if I don't give the best opinions, this is just my own experience with it. So, but again, worth upgrading, and it really does give you a fantastic home theater experience. If you have a movie room, like I have my personal movie room, I love to watch movies, watch TV shows, but most importantly, watch movies on the best TV and player that I can get. Now, buying a 4K player, like many previous physical media formats in the past, it can be expensive. 4K TVs and 4K Blu-ray players can be expensive. However, it can be affordable. If you do your research on them, you can find great prices. 4K's been out for a while now, not too long, but it's been out for a while. So you can find affordable TVs and affordable players. So you can do research online. But if you know a movie fanatic, if you know a movie collector, if you have a friend, a family member who owns a 4K TV and a 4K player, you can talk to them about it, and they will give you their opinions. They can say yes or no, but I really think that if you know somebody who has a player, that is the best research to do, is to talk to them. And they'll, tell you what websites to go on, or kind of give you tips on looking for that TV or looking for that player. So affordability, I think, is very important, and doing research on it before you pick your final TV and player. Do your research, talk to other people who have had or who have that player, that TV, and who have had that experience watching movies on 4K. And then another thing is, once you get that player, once you get that TV, what movies to purchase. Brand new movies that just come out, or that do come out on 4K in today's time, those are usually, most of the time, I'd say like 90, 95, 99% of the time. I'm going to say 95% of the time. Those movies are going to look and sound fantastic on 4K. What I go for and what I do research on is movies that have had physical media formats in the past that are out on 4K now. I have you don't see it, but I have a nice small collection of DVDs still that aren't available on Blu-ray yet. And if they are available on Blu-ray, I just haven't got them yet. But I have a lot of Blu-rays. And I'm not going to upgrade everything because, for one, not all Blu-rays and even DVDs have 4Ks yet. Some DVDs still don't even have Blu-ray releases yet. So when it comes to my collection, I'm not going to upgrade everything. So when it comes down to choosing movies, I'm going to look for, favorite movies of mine. What are my all-time favorite movies that are worth getting on 4K? But also I want to look for picture and sound quality. Are they worth getting? And pricing. I don't want to spend a lot of money on a movie that I already have if I don't have to. Now, some movies I have. I've splurged, just like recently I splurged and I pre-ordered the Dawn of the Dead set on 4K. Just because, the price was great. The price that I found it for was great. And, that is ultimately going to be the best, edition of that movie. So, I paid, a nice price for that, but I think it was worth it. And, I couldn't find it for a cheaper price, so I went with that. But usually with movies, like if I'm upgrading a movie, I like to look for, again, picture, sound quality. Is it worth it? And the pricing. And I'm going to go through some movies, and actually, like most of these movies that I have upgraded on, I found really good prices on them. So, and again, I don't think it's necessary to upgrade all your movies on 4K, because if you have a big collection like I do, that would take years and money to upgrade everything on. So now the ones I'm going to recommend, if you're a fan of those, I recommend picking them up. But again, go for affordable prices if you can. Some of these movies, like some of these steelbooks, the most I paid for some of these were like $25. But I did research on them, and I looked for picture and sound quality, and I talked to others about them, and they had a really good experience with these movies. So I do my research before I purchase some of these movies, because I just want to make sure I'm getting a great picture and sound quality, a fantastic picture and sound quality. That's a better word, fantastic. So before I get to movies that I've upgraded from the past on, I'm going to talk about 4 movies that I got just on 4K that I think give great sound, fantastic sound and picture quality. The first one being a superhero movie, and that is Aquaman. Now, I have the Target exclusive digibook, but you can get Aquaman, for example, if you just look online or look in stores, say if they have a sale on this movie. Sometimes you can get the 4K for $14.99. Or $15.99. It's really cool. And I'd say if you are getting a player, if you're getting a TV, and say you saw this movie in theaters and you want the best picture quality, this is the way to go. The Blu-ray looks great, but the 4K even looks better. And I love Aquaman. It was one of my favorite films from 2018. And I love popping in this 4K and watching it on my TV. It's amazing. This is worth purchasing. From my own experience, I highly recommend that one. Superhero movies, I've noticed that most of the DC stuff actually looks better than the Marvel stuff. I don't know why. Not to say that the Marvel 4Ks I own don't look great, because, you know, like Infinity War and Endgame, those are awesome 4Ks. But like, as a superhero movie goes, I think this is definitely one of the movies that has an awesome example of a 4K. So, love Aquaman. This movie right here, you know, if you want an amazing 4K example to pop on your TV, Overlord. I talked about this movie recently in one of my collection videos, and first of all, I love the movie. It's a shame it took me so long to see it, but I love the movie. But what I love about this 4K is right away when the Paramount logo pops up, you could tell you were getting an awesome picture and sound quality. The sound is really good because you do have like a sound happening as the logo is popping up, but also the picture is the best thing on it. And this movie, it's affordable. I know that. I got this for like $10 somewhere. This would be an awesome 4K to get if you want some fantastic 4K, you know, a fantastic 4K example. Overlord is definitely one of those movies. Bohemian Rhapsody, another one of my favorite movies of recent years, but also one of my favorite 4Ks. Example of a really good moment in this movie has to be the Live Aid concert at the end of the movie. The last 20 minutes, the whole movie sounds and looks great, but the moment that really stands out is when Queen is performing at the Live Aid concert. Almost put me to tears because of how emotional that moment is, because, you know, obviously it's based on a real life event. But, you know, that last 20 minutes, perfect example of a great 4K, no, a fantastic 4K. And yeah, I would say it's definitely worth picking up. That's a great example of a 4K to play on your TV. And then the last brand new movie, and there's so many other movies I could have picked from. I was just kind of picking through movies. But the last like brand new movie to get that isn't an upgrade, 1917. Now, I'm not a big war movie fan. I'm kind of 50-50 with them. I really enjoyed this movie. I loved the 4K quality. I thought it sounded awesome and it looked fantastic. This is definitely one to pick up if you're wanting to get it. But if you want like a great example of a 4K, this is a really good one. If you want that home theater experience, and if you've been interested in checking this movie out, pick this one up. I think it's definitely worth getting. Now, my favorite thing about upgrading movies is getting your favorite films on 4K. And again, look for affordability. Do your research on them. Talk to others about them. Ask them, you know, are these movies worth getting? But if you ultimately want to make the choice on picking up 4Ks, go for your favorite movies. This movie right here, you can get a standard 4K of it. It has the standard 4K release. I have the Steelbook. I was watching videos and I was doing research on it before I made the choice to pick it up. But I picked up the Stanley Kubrick's The Shining Best Buy exclusive Steelbook because I just love the design of it. I think it's fantastic. And I'll kind of show you the inside a little bit. I'm not going to take out the 4K and Blu-ray, but you have the maze. And so I love that. I think that's really cool. But as far as the sound and picture quality, amazing. For example, the snowy setting. looks stunning. When the snow is falling on the ground, those snowflakes, you could see detail in them. I don't know what they did to make it look so fantastic, but it looks fantastic. And the sound is great as well. But, you know, if you're a fan of The Shining, I'd say it's definitely worth getting. Again, you can get, you know, the standard 4K release. I picked this up when it came out. Again, I did my research on it, and I was watching other reviewers talk about it. So I ultimately went for that release. Now, before I continue on, I have to grab one more thing, and we're going to talk about this. Because I don't want to forget this, because I think, you know, recently there was a movie that came out on 4K that, you know, is worth picking up. That's Jaws. I had a hard time getting this. You know, it was sold out for a while. You can barely get it on any, you know, the websites had this movie sold out. My buddy Lewis picked this up for me when he was out and about, $19.99 at Walmart. And I'd say that is definitely a reasonable price when you're wanting to get one of your favorite movies on 4K. Again, you can do your research and look into them, but, you know, I heard people talk about this 4K. I read up on it. Jaws, another fantastic example of a movie that just sounds and looks fantastic. A lot of the water sequences, it just feels like you're there at that time with those characters in the water. The water scenery, I mean, that in itself is worth getting this for. So I love Jaws, one of my favorite movies, so I knew I had to get that one. Let's go through these pretty quick, though. I don't want to stay too long. We're already going on 17 minutes. Alien, another one. You know, I picked up the Steelbook, but this was like $19.99. You can get the standard 4K for like $14.99, but I got this from Best Buy. I love it. Another great example of a movie that just sounds and looks fantastic. Just the sweat on the characters' faces pops out, and that is an awesome example. You know, continuing with the Alien universe, Prometheus. I had this movie on Blu-ray for the longest time. I found it for $14.99, and I heard it sounded and looked awesome, and I popped it in. I can tell a difference. I mean, I was just amazed at this. Got it for $14.99. That was a really good price. And again, if you're upgrading your favorite movies, look for affordability. You know, being that this is my favorite movie, I had to get it. Halloween. And this is a great example of a 4K. It looks and sounds great. The Blu-ray, the previous Blu-ray even looks and sounds great. This was, my buddy Lewis picked this up for me for my birthday. This was, I think, $19.99 at the time, but it's cheaper now, $14.99. It's definitely worth getting for $14.99. Now this one, and another one I'm going to talk about, I paid a little bit more for this, but I did my research. I looked at, you know, websites, and I read up on it, and they said this, you know, there's a 4K upscale of a Steelbook I have of this movie, but this was legit 4K. They actually went in, took the film reel, and did a true 4K format for it. And that is Suspiria. This is top 5 favorite 4Ks I own. The sound is great. I love the sound, actually. It's even awesome. The picture quality, fantastic. So much detail. The colors pop. There are going to be things that you never noticed before when you watched the movie. Some of the lettering on the side of the building, you could see it. I mean, it's amazing. There's more detail to it. But I love that one. That's a great example. Or fantastic example. Like I said, top 5 4K for me, hands down. You know, I'm going to mix it up. Here's another comic book movie that in 78. I think 78. I believe 78. you would never think that a film from the 70s, like some of the previous ones I mentioned, would have an awesome 4K and Blu-ray, or an awesome 4K release. That is Superman the movie. Another awesome release, picture sound quality. I was really surprised with this one. I did my research on it. I heard nothing but positive things. But I also waited until the price went down because this was like for a while $30, almost $30. And I didn't want to pay almost $30 for it. So Amazon one day, I went online and it was $19.99. So that's another good thing. Go on Amazon, type these movies in. One day it might be, you know, close to $30, and one day it might be $19.99 or cheaper. But Superman the movie, if you're a fan of this movie, if you're going to get into 4K, this is one I recommend picking up. Now, I'm a Christopher Nolan fan, and all the 4Ks that have come out that I own from Christopher Nolan, they're all fantastic examples of movies to pick up when you're wanting fantastic picture and sound quality. But I picked, out of the many of them, The Dark Knight. Now, the great thing about The Dark Knight is I waited until I was able to find a great price on it. I got all of the Dark Knight movies from Christopher Nolan on 4K for $12.99 at a used game and movie exchange store. And actually, they were buy two, get the third one free, so I got The Dark Knight Rises for free. But they were all $12.99, and they came with the slipcovers, so that's a plus there. One of my favorite 4Ks I own. Again, top 5 for me. Sound, picture quality, I love it. This is top, 3 favorite comic book movies. So this is definitely worth picking up. If you're a fan of the film, get it. Get the whole trilogy if you can. And the box set, I think, is like $59. So that's a really good price for it, too. You can actually get it cheaper some places, too. Again, just do your research on them. This one right here, I could have went with the first movie, which actually sounds and looks really good for a movie that came out in the early 80s. Evil Dead, great example of a movie that looks and sounds great on 4K, but Evil Dead 2 looks even better. I was amazed at how this movie looked, especially looked. It sounded great, but it looked fantastic. A lot of colors pop that are in the movie. Again, sweat on Ash's face when you see it is detailed. It's a very detailed, I think it's a detailed 4K, and I'd say pick it up. Again, I got this for $17.99. You could probably get it cheaper now. I've had this for almost a year now. But yeah, Evil Dead 2, a must. I hands down. I love that. Especially if you're a horror movie fan and you love the Evil Dead 2, pick it up. Pick up the first Evil Dead because that is another great example of a 4K. I got that one for $14.99. Blade Runner, if you're a sci-fi fan, Blade Runner is another one. Pick it up. Now, most of the places I go, this is over $20. I'm now seeing it for like $19.99. I went on Family Video's website when they were having their Black Friday sale, and this was actually, I think, $15.99 at the time. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was $15.99 at the time. So I went ahead, I purchased it. I watched it recently, just now on 4K. I'd seen the movie previously. Again, top 5 4Ks I own. After I watched it on 4K, I put in the Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray looks great and it sounds great. But again, if you're getting a TV, if you're getting a player, and you're wanting to get a really awesome or a fantastic example of a 4K to pick up, Blade Runner is a must, especially if you're a fan of the film. That's an awesome one. Awesome example. And the last one, if you're a fan of horror movies and you like zombie films, I recently picked this movie up. Now, this one right here has, from what I've heard, a great Blu-ray upscale from the same company. So, use your judgment on this release. However, I did not have this movie on Blu-ray. And I actually found it for $30 and some change on Family Video's website. Normally this 4K is going for like $35, almost $40. I wasn't going to pay that much. I said $30 isn't too bad for a movie I don't have yet. But the previous release from the same company has, from what I've heard, an awesome picture and sound quality. And that's just a 4K Blu-ray upscale. I went ahead and I picked up Dombey on 4K. Again, I didn't have the movie before. I wanted to add it into the collection. And I'm going to say this, again, another top 5. Maybe top 5, but definitely like, if it's not top 5, this is definitely top 10 4K. I'm going to say top 5. I'm just going to go with that because I honestly think, like Suspiria, like Blade Runner, you're going to get your money's worth with a movie like Dombey. Now, again, if you have the previous release, use your judgment on it. Again, affordability. Look around, see if you can find a really good price on it. If this is one of your all-time favorite movies, you know, you can pick it up. But do your research on it. Like anything, players, TVs, movies, do your research. But I honestly, if you don't have the movie I'll already, say on Blu-ray, say you just have the DVD and you're getting into 4K, this is an awesome example. No, a fantastic example on a movie that sounds and looks fantastic. The detail on the zombie here, when you see him pop up, that dirt is so crisp. He's disgusting in the movie. I mean, it just really comes alive, so to speak, comes alive. Yeah, Dombey, another really good one. Anyway, guys, this video, once again, is almost 30 minutes long. So if you guys like my long videos, that's awesome. And if you don't, I'm sorry about that. I go into detail and I talk about this stuff. But yeah, ultimately, if you are getting a 4K, if you're wanting to get a 4K player and a 4K TV, if you're wanting to take that leap and do it, but you have questions on it, I'd say my answer is definitely, it's worth it. I say yes. Awesome home theater experience, and you can get some great or fantastic 4K movie releases, 4K Blu-ray releases out there. But do your research. It's all about affordability. I look for movies that, you know, I either know look and sound fantastic, but are also affordable. So not always do I like wait till a movie goes down in price, but most of the time, if I'm upgrading movies, I'd say like 85% of the time, I'm going to wait until they drop down in price. So, or if I can find them on a better website for a more affordable price. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps. Again, I'm not one, you know, I'm not an expert on this, but from my own experiences and from what people also have said, most importantly, my own experiences, I'd say it is definitely worth taking that leap and getting that 4K TV and getting that 4K player, because if you want the best home theater experience, this I think is going to be the last best thing. I honestly think so. So I don't think we can go past 4K. Again, 8K, your eyesight can't go past 4K, so I don't think we're going to get 8K. Anyway, guys, have an awesome day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you guys for your support, for watching my videos. Old and new subscribers, you guys are amazing, so I appreciate it. As always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. In with the positive, out with the negative. Go eat some Skittles. And as always, love you guys. Bye.